Midwest instincts, who had traveled the world, who was not a studio preacher. He had been out there and covered the stories himself, who had real passions. He just fell in love. He fell in love with the space program. He didn't just like it and care about it. He fell in love with it. And that you could experience his enthusiasms, even when he was sitting on top of the anchor world, was always defining. And no matter what happened, you had a sense, well, a good man who has ballast in his life is telling us these things. Therefore, together, we know who we are. And he was so much always the presence that said, we know who we are.
Is there something there that you've taken away now in your role, your world news, that you saw in Walter that you now apply?
What a good question. I haven't really thought about it. I've never thought about it because there was only one Walter. And because we are in a different universe, if anything, I do think joy and belief in human vitality and possibility is still the greatest fuel we have in this country. So in some sense, I always remember his saying, you know, the world is not that kind of place only, it's also this kind of place. And let's not forget it. I don't mean what they say, why don't you do more good news? You know it all the time. People are always saying, why don't you do more good news? And I always say, tell me the last good news story you saw. They go, And I know they remember the other kind of stories more than they remember the good news stories. But it's really important, I think, for all of us to see the world whole, see it clear, see it whole, and not just be the people who come in every night with a catechism of dire and desperate.
Well, this is probably a good time to start getting to some of your questions.